Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get our complimentary newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
Financial Survival Network is presented to you by Regal Assets. Buy and sell physical gold and silver through your existing retirement plan, 100% tax-free with Regal Assets. If you want to include physical gold or silver in your existing IRA or old 401k, request your free investment kit, which was recently featured in the Forbes and Smart Money Wall Street Journal magazines. Call toll-free 855-678-6620, 855-678-6620, or visit regalassets.com. We're in our new headquarters. We're broadcasting live from South Florida. It's kind of a realization of a long dream for me that I was finally able to leave the Northeast, kids out of school, and finally move to the sunnier, warmer, and more business-friendly climate of Florida. You know, Florida is one of what I call the magic 9 states. And do you know why they're magical? Because they have no state income tax. You live in Florida, no state income tax on the income you earn here. And imagine just paying your federal income tax and being done with it. The other states, if I can remember them all, are Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Tennessee, New Hampshire, Alaska, Washington State, and Wyoming. And if you don't think people vote with their feet or their checkbook, look at how these 9 states have grown in the past decade and how the other states have contracted. Those other states believe they're entitled to confiscate an ever larger share of your wealth. Over the past 30 years, their population growth has been way, way behind. You know that Texas is now number 2 in population and has led the country in economic growth since 2000. Florida has a lot of economic issues because of the real estate bust, but it's still number 4 in population and will probably pass New York in just a few short years. I mean, people are selling their homes in New York and moving down here in droves. Still, I mean, population is increasing, cheaper real estate taxes, cheaper cost of living, and not to mention my favorite, my personal reason, fresh stone crabs. You just can't beat it. And not that Florida is right for you necessarily, but it is a great place if you love the outdoors and you love the ocean like I do. I've been walking 2 miles a day since I got here every day, and I have to say I feel really good. And if you're worried about protecting your wealth, then you really want to hear from my next guest, Tyler Gallagher. He's CEO of Regal Assets, and they're an FSN sponsor, and he's highly relevant right now because he's mastered the art of getting your IRA into precious metals. Tyler, welcome to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kerry. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on your big move.
I'm so happy to have done it. I have no regrets, and it's great to have you on, too. So you've really got an interesting story, don't you?
I've been in the financial industry since I was basically 18 years old. But yeah, it didn't start off in the precious metals world, that's for sure.
And you had some acting background too, right?
Yeah, I actually did, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and here we are now. You had to get in the real world, but what better thing to be doing than what you're doing now, right?
Yeah, it was fun though. You know, I've been told my whole life I look like Rob Lowe. And at the peak of my career, I actually got to play his son in a TV series, which was really fun.
And that's probably a great background because you meet all sorts of different people. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you find a lot of people don't really have financial knowledge. They don't know what to do for investments. They don't know how to protect their wealth. And what's your assessment now as far as the international monetary system, the dollar, and all that? Is that a safe place to be keeping your wealth?
Absolutely not. I mean, many discussions you and I have had, Kerry, in the past. This system has never worked in the history of the world, but what's really unique about the time that we're in is this is the first time, because in the past Anytime a system like this has failed, it's been a few countries because there were some countries that were backed. This is the first time in history, recorded history, that is, that the entire world is going to face this grim reality of the overprinting of money. And what's really interesting when you mention the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, it's obviously been the catalyst for bailing out the failing Eurozone. But what's really interesting is that all of these systems are tied together at this point. I mean, it's all one currency. They've just got different names. But very interesting that we announced quantitative easing 3, and then all of a sudden, everyone's doing their own form of it. In Europe, they've got their bond buying program going off right now. China, and really the case is it's a race to debase currencies right now. That's really what we're facing.
Right. So if you've got savings, if you've got any wealth that you've managed to acquire over your lifetime that is invested in paper-backed assets, this race to debase could be near fatal to your retirement, to your savings.
Well, there's no question. It's funny. When I came to the financial industry, I saw something really quickly. Strangely enough, I was reading a lot of books by Robert Kiyosaki, and I was reading a lot of financial books. And what was really interesting, it speaks about this baby boomer generation, which happened to be my parents and many people's parents.
And yours truly. It's me too.
Yeah. There we go. We got one right here with us. And interesting thing about the baby boomers is that they're the world's largest population. That's caused a lot of trends, and they control a lot of money, and a lot of them are getting ready to retire right now. For instance, like the most sold car in the entire world is the Mustang, and this is when the baby boomers were all sort of growing up, and everyone wanted a cool sporty car. They've depicted trends, and where they're heading now is retirement. But what's really interesting is that there's an alarming reality with that, and that is that a lot of people have worked really hard for a monetary system that is just dwindling in value. We're printing it by the day. And then quantitative easing 3, they just announced it, and they say there's no end to it. It could be however long they need to do it. It's getting ruthless with our currency, and this is a generation that's trying to retire off of all of this, fiat currency they saved up. So the need for retirement accounts couldn't be more dire because it's a different ball game now. Early 2000, you could be in the stock market, you could be playing with paper assets, and you could be doing well with it. Now. It's a time to hedge. I mean, when they're printing the money and devaluing at such a rapid rate, you don't want to be in paper. Even if you're doing well with paper, you got to factor in inflation. I mean, inflation. We don't even have the real numbers of it, but I'm pretty sure it's running rampant. It's only going to continue. So, with that being said, retirement accounts have been sort of positioned to be 99.9% paper based. And you don't really have many options for something physical. I mean, you can get real estate, but that's really tricky. And with the real estate market, I'm sure another wave of the mortgage crisis is coming as banks, start to put more of these bad mortgages on their books. So it's tricky. And what's really great is there is an option, and it's precious metals. You're able to put gold, silver, platinum, palladium into your actual retirement account. We're talking the physical form, not some paper promise. And very, very important to be doing that right now, because we don't know what's going to happen to paper, and the bottom can fall out at any time. You'll never get a warning. It will just happen, and it will happen so quickly. It will make everyone's head spin when this reality to be. So, our my sort of goal since getting into the financial industry has been trying to help the baby boomer generation. That's sort of my goal, and I get to do it, through physical assets in their retirement accounts.
Absolutely. And how hard is the process? Because one thing I want to emphasize, a lot of people I know, the only wealth they have left, or the major wealth they have, lawyers, doctors, is in their retirement account.
Yep.
So how hard is it to convert all or part of your retirement account into precious metals?
Well, it's a great question. I'll tell you this, a couple things. You know, the precious metals marketplace is an extremely competitive space, believe it or not. There's 7,000 plus outfits that in the United States alone that are dealing in precious metals. 7,000 plus. I mean, the numbers are growing by the day because it's in such a bull market. But what's really interesting is, you know, I've always been about finding a niche market and finding something and doing it better than anybody. My biggest thing, you know, especially when I got involved with Regal Assets, a lot of people just buying precious metals with cash, with money in their bank account was huge. But for me, I saw this need to position retirement accounts into precious metals because I personally felt that there was going to be a time where this is going to be necessary. So really, Regal Assets has taken a lot of years to really fine-tune the process and do it better than anybody else with retirement accounts. And what I've really found, which is interesting, Kerry, is, 2011, coming out of 2011, I started to realize that people were running out of cash. It was getting very deflationary. People didn't really have liquid cash anymore. A lot of them, after 2008, they put it into places that they felt comfortable with. Well, with that being said, a lot of people had retirement accounts. And so we really started to really fine-tune and really even get better at the process of rolling over retirement accounts. And we noticed a lot of companies in our industry started to try to do the same. And what's really interesting, because none of them specialize in it like Regal Assets does, a lot of these places are taking, some of them upwards 2 to 3 months to roll over your retirement account into precious metals, because it's quite a process. However, to answer your question, I'm proud to say that we at Regal Assets have really taken that time and narrowed it down. The quickest account we've been able to transition over into precious metals has taken us 2 business days. But our typical account's about 4 business days to 5 business days. And believe it or not, it's very easy because we've put a whole department into place to do all the heavy lifting for you. This is something that you're interested in. All you do is you just fill out one form with us. Very simple. It's just, your information, birth date, social, your beneficiary, their information, and then your custodian, where the current money is that you want to move over. From there, we do everything. We keep you fully in the loop of what's going on. We're typically turning around, new account numbers for your new custodian in 24 hours. And we've really streamlined the process for you. So the answer is it's actually extremely simple. If you ever go to our website, regalassets.com, right on the bottom it says Gold IRA form. Literally, that's the one form you fill out. From there, we will handle the rest. And we've really streamlined the process for you to make it easy.
That's a good thing. So it doesn't take too long. Do you need an attorney to do it? And how safe is it?
That's a great question. You don't need an attorney. It's extremely safe because here's what's great about retirement accounts. You got to understand it's a very regulated industry. And, the government has put a lot of protocols and things in place to make sure that your retirement account is safe. And it's very safe to do, very easy to do. It doesn't require a lawyer. And, what is good to know is that the metals that you ultimately invest in, they're physical metals that you own. We relinquish ownership of them, obviously, and they become yours. And they're physical metals you can take anywhere in the world and liquidate and have a value.
Yeah. So are there any other concerns that people need to have in converting all or part of their IRA into metals?
Yeah, I would say this is the biggest concern. Like I was stating before, there's a lot of companies that just, really this year we've seen a plethora of our competition trying to hit this retirement account space. And there's a lot of, outfits like, they just sell bullion, or, they're just they're numismatic dealers, and then all of a sudden they're saying they do retirement accounts. And yeah, there's something you really want to watch out for with that. You want to be careful. You want to make sure you're dealing with someone who actually specializes in it, because if you make the wrong move, it could take up to 3 weeks, become a very rigorous process, and you could really lose out on some really key moments to enter the market. So I would definitely say you want to be dealing with someone who has been doing retirement accounts for some time, who specializes in them, and really, is their main focus. That's what we do. That's what we've come to be known for, and that's what we've really fine-tuned our process to do. And because we've been doing this for so long, we use the nation's largest custodian to do the transfer, and we have our own designated rep there, so we're able to really turn things around quickly for all of our clients. And I think that's the biggest thing is the word of caution is make sure you're dealing with someone who specializes in it. Because the flip end of the thing is, imagine if it takes you 3 weeks to actually get into, get this process completed. Imagine if you God forbid, you need to sell, there's a financial emergency, it's going to be another 3 weeks to access that capital. With us, we've got about a 24-hour turnaround whenever people want to liquidate their accounts. We do free metal-to-metal trades within the account. So if silver's up and you're liking that and you want to take in some of the profits and move into gold, you can do that right through your account for free as often as you want. They're called metal-to-metal trades. And then, God forbid, you need to liquidate. That's a 24-hour turnaround typically for us. Happens very quickly.
Yeah, so the liquidation process, what's involved in that?
Well, what's really great about it is it's streamlined. So we're doing a lot of really great things to really fine-tune the process for our clients. But how it works is basically anytime you want, 24 hours a day, you're able to lock up a buyback price for your metals. And as soon as you lock in the buyback price, we would process what's called a sell order, get an instant receipt of it. And what's great is the moment you lock up, even though we don't have your metals, because obviously we have to get your metals before we can, put the money into your account. What's great is you're locked up. So even though we don't have the metals, if the price changes in 24 hours, let's say it drops, you're getting the price that you locked up at, which is great. And you just put in a sell order, and again, we handle everything from there. It's very simple. You just sign a sell order, which you can do via the email, and we get you on track. And
then you could also take delivery of your metal too, right? Physical delivery?
Absolutely, yeah. There's two ways that you can liquidate your account. The first one is you can sell your metals within your account and just get cash, which I don't advise. And then the second one you can do is actually just get physical delivery of metals right to your front door. And, one thing I do want to say, because I failed to mention it, is keep in mind with precious metals, physical precious metals, that is, the government looks to them as, currency, as cash pretty much, because you could take it anywhere in the world and liquidate it. So when it comes to buying metals through your retirement account, you don't actually get to hold on to them because, again, there's no penalties, there's nothing. It's no consequences of any kind. It's a rollover or a transfer is what it's known as. So there's no tax consequences. It's still safe. You don't have to pay any penalties. But with that being said, you can't have it in your possession. So you have to put it into an approved depository that the government approves, and that is safe to place your metals. And we use the Delaware Depository, the nation's largest for these types of transactions. If you wanted to liquidate, you can get those metals from Delaware right to your front door. Just keep in mind, whatever you do get to your front door, you have to tell your accountant about, obviously, and appropriate penalties will apply once you get them to your front door.
Well, hey, Tyler, thanks so much for being on FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com.
Thank you so much for having me, Kerry.
Okay.
See you soon.